Podcast 133, March 19th. I almost read the date wrong, but it's March 19th. We are, 2 days removed from the official begin of the official begin, but the tampering period started on Monday. We had a podcast up on Monday where just like mayhem went crazy. Bill Belichick spent like $100 million in 24 hours. But we're going to recap some of the other signings, some of the other news going around the league right now. Keep everybody informed. TopShelfFantasy.com, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Top Shelf FNTSY. We just did a Book Burners podcast with Baldy. Went over some March Madness stuff, some future bets on the NFL, some fun bets on the rookies, where they're going to go, what teams they're going to go, who's going to be the first positional player pick. So make sure you check that out. But now it's Top Shelf, and we're going to be looking at 2021 NFL season, what's been going on. So I guess I start this off and ask you boys, how you doing?
How are we doing?
I'm doing. I got a sip of sunshine. So yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Dow's has
his Poland Springs.
I thought you went off the bandwagon.
That is a Poland Springs water bottle. Yeah, I mean, I'm at home by myself. What am I gonna do? Get drunk?
Oh
yeah, I don't have anything to drink tonight.
Oh, I got a juice machine.
Trying to lose weight.
All right, so there's Thompson you're drinking. Thank God. Spud.
Yeah, you're not by yourself. All right, well, let's start off with some news real quick. Just a couple pieces of news, and if I forget something, let me know. A-Rob, Godwin signed their franchise tags today. Godwin, we kind of knew that was going to happen. A-Rob, I mean, there was a chance he was holding out, but I guess the Kenny Golladay news might have scared him a little bit. So Kenny Golladay did have conversations with the Bears, and then immediately after, A-Rob's like, hey, I guess I'll sign it.
Yeah, I looked at that as like a very interesting timing, right? So Andy Dalton comes in, A-Rob signs his tender. So I'm like, well, is he stoked about Andy Dalton? And then I'm like, oh, okay, Kenny Golladay was there. So he's maybe scared for his job, or maybe he's stoked that maybe Kenny Golladay is going to come on board and he'll be, a 1-2 punch. Like, I could see this from so many different angles, but either way, he's playing. So that's good.
And for the Bears.
Yeah.
We've seen that people that hold out, it does not pan out well. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to sign it. You got to get the guaranteed $18 million.
Yep.
I'm taking our next piece of news off the docket here.
We'll get to that later.
Was there anything else? I think that might have been the only notable news. So now we can just start.
Yeah, I mean, there's the Deshaun stuff, but this is not the podcast. It's to talk about that.
We're not. Yeah, we're not getting into that.
I'm not touching it. Free agent signings.
Yeah, free agent signings.
If you want, check out our article, Same Faces, New Places. That'll cover everything up to the minute that it happens. But so this is kind of a recap for a lot of it.
So if you're on Twitter, every player movement, we, put it out there almost twice a day. Click on the link. You see the newest person, the newest player that is signed to a different team. But, I mean, first off the bat, Juju Smith-Schuster did not sign with the new team. He's sitting down with the Steelers for a 1-year deal worth $8 million.
Bad deal.
And the news has come out that the Chiefs offered him more, the Ravens offered him more,
Eagles did too.
The Eagles as well. So it's like he had options. So he decided to stick with the team where he didn't. I mean, not to say he didn't produce last year, but his numbers are down from what you expect out of Juju. So I don't know if he talked to Ben and he said, you better fucking look my way a few more times this season or what. But he's gonna bump that production back up to what it was a couple years back.
Yeah. I mean, as a fantasy spot, I think
it's terrible.
Don't you sign with the Chiefs? I don't like. You sign with Kansas City, you have pretty much a shoe in to make the AFC Championship, and you're only competing with Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, and
with the Steelers, there's Deontay Johnson's getting 18 targets a game. There's Chase Claypool with another year, and there's Ebron that steals all those TDs in the red zone. So like, you can go any place else and have a fantastic season, but you pick to go back.
Yeah, all the places we named, like KC. Sure, you also tossing your Kelsey that you're competing with, but KC, even Baltimore, I would have loved to see him there. I mean, he plays a completely different role than Hollywood.
He's the number one right away in Baltimore if you were to sign.
And the Eagles, the same thing.
And $3 million more is what Baltimore gave. So I'm just upset at Juju himself as a person, just for the fact that he goes, "Oh, I'm going to say goodbye to my teammates. I want all top dollar." You watch other wide receivers go off the board first, and then at the end of the day, he's like, "Nah, you got to take a wrecking ball to get me out of Pittsburgh."
Yeah,
I mean, you don't. You just want to be liked.
Yeah, he's exactly. He seems like he's very. I don't know. He's just pandering to the Pittsburgh people at this point, and I don't care for it one bit.
Well, so and just to clear this up too, I mean, there's now this like stipulation where you can do these voidable years or whatever. So like, it's really a 4-year deal. They're spreading the cap over 4 years. And Craig mentioned it earlier that the Steelers are like decimated on defense. They have no running game because it sounds like they have nothing to sign James Conner with. I'm sure there was a plea deal of the Steelers going to be like, Juju, please come back, blah, blah, blah. We need you. We need you. We need you. And then they sign him, give him an $8 million deal and spread it out across the time period just to get it that cap as low as possible. I don't like it as a player. I think Juju did Pittsburgh a massive favor by coming back. It's one less player they have to worry about. It's $1.6 million against the cap. It's like nothing compared to what it should be. And the Steelers are already going to be hurt. Now, I just don't know. I just don't understand how you look at Kansas City and go, yeah, I don't want to play with Pat Mahomes. I don't want to be in the Super Bowl. Like,
well, and I fundamentally don't understand these voidable year deals. Is it the player's choice to void it? Is it the team's choice? Are they mutually agreed upon ahead of time? Because what if Pittsburgh come next year just goes, we're not voiding those. You're playing here for 3 more years.
No. So that is like how it works. So it is written in stone that basically the player is locked in with that team for a certain period of time, but that salary's the cap hit is distributed over a certain period.
So next year, Juju's guaranteed off the team. That's locked in, but it's still a $7 million hit next year.
It's like $1.6 million in 2022 against the cap. Okay. Like they're still paying Juju, but they're going to figure. I mean, if anything, this is why we've been saying the cap's fake, because you can manipulate it any way you want, and they're going to figure out a way to get out of that cap hit.
Oh yeah,
it is ridiculous. I mean, this is what happened with Brady. This is what happened with Taysom Hill. I mean, Taysom Hill's deal was the same exact thing. It was a 4-year extension, but like 3 of those years were voidable. So it was like, what the hell?
That's like the Mets in the MLB that still pay Bobby Bonilla like a $1.7 million a year, even though he retired in the 90s. It's like
the greatest contract ever.
I'm gonna look that up. Friggin',
it's crazy. But the capital. The actual $8 million capital all gets paid to Juju. So it's legitimately fake money against the Steelers cap. It's fucking crazy. It's ridiculous.
Tom, as a dynasty owner of Juju, is this better than of him going to the Jets?
I would prefer him in Pittsburgh than the Jets.
Right.
I'll say that.
But of course, like, all right, KC.
I would have preferred him to go to KC.
Exactly.
Philadelphia
too, like Baltimore, like all these.
Oakland
teams.
was one.
Yeah.
Oakland, you would be
Oakland. He was like almost a foregone conclusion. He was going to Oakland.
He was a shoo-in, and then free agency happened. Like, we'll take John Brown for $2.75 million for a year. Like, what? Like,
and like, so I have not heard where these numbers and deals came from. Like, I haven't heard it from the team. I don't know if it's Juju's agent saying like all this other money was out there. I don't know that it was. I mean, it's a huge conspiracy theory. Let me get my tinfoil hat on. But like, could just be blowing smoke up everybody just to say, next year I want more money and this is what I have, but I'm choosing to stay in Pittsburgh.
Well, I mean, the thing is, no team has came out and said that it was a lie. Because like, if he posted that, I got this and this offers from KC in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Baltimore would come in and say, like, yeah, no. We like there's been no one that says no, we didn't offer him that. Like, he's lying. Well,
they might be like, oh, we're gonna go after him next year again. Let's not piss him off. But
I do believe it. I just think he's just a weird guy. And he's like, I'm gonna stay true and take way fucking less guaranteed money.
Also, Bobby Bonilla he retired in 1999. He gets paid $1.7 million a year until 2035.
I can love it. That's awesome.
Another signing I don't think any of us expected either was Kenny Drake. So he signed with the Raiders, and not only were we shocked the team he went to, but we were shocked he left Arizona anyway.
I was shocked.
We're all sitting here, dynasty perspective. Craig probably has the biggest capital. Like, this is probably the biggest negative signing to Craig's dynasty team because it gets Josh Jacobs. Now you got Josh Jacobs and jack of all trades, Mr. Kenny Drake.
Yeah, and he goes and gets 7.25 a year, something like that. Just over 7.
In cap terms, it's 5.5. There's a lot of incentives and stuff like that. But again, like, we don't really know what the hell's going on with it. But yeah, I mean, bringing him into the Raiders is really going to be, kind of a hindrance to both Jacobs and himself. Like, as far as fantasy is concerned, even outside of dynasty and redraft leagues, you look at a 1-year situation. It doesn't look great. On top of the fact that there's 2 returning offensive linemen for the Raiders right now. It's like, is this really a good spot for either Jacobs or Drake right now?
So they actually have 2 guys left.
They got rid of 3/5. Trent Brown, Rodney Hudson, and Gabe Jackson. All 3 of them are left.
Donald Penn retired.
Donald Penn retired, but I don't think he played that much. And then Richie Incognito didn't play much last year, but apparently, like, they're saying that's an addition for whatever. I don't exactly get it. What they're doing, why they're doing it. They're putting a lot of money on the defensive side, which is what we always know that John Gruden likes to do. But at some point, you were in the sweepstakes for Juju, or I don't know, maybe they weren't. But at the same time, they have Ruggs who goes over the top, John Brown who goes over the top. Their offense now has Kenyon Drake on top of a pounder like Josh Jacobs. I have no idea what this offense is going to look like next year. And I don't think anyone thinks that they will.
And they re-signed Zay Jones. Like,
that's why? I think they got worse because of their offensive line and not I think getting some reps away from Josh Jacobs is a good thing because the guy does get hurt towards the end of the season. This has just been a year in, year out. His 2 seasons in, and he hasn't been able to hold up. So it works. I mean, they lose Devontae Booker. He left. Drake comes in. We'll see what happens, but it'll be fairly 50-50. They're 2 different kind of running backs.
I think it could be a massive disaster for fantasy purposes, because especially factor in the, Theo Riddick's there. So, I mean, that's big.
Special teams. Yeah. Six carries left.
Should we move on? Will Fuller signs a 1-year, $10 million deal with Miami. And I got to thank Dow's because I think my write-up on the same faces, new places article, I thought he still had to serve his 6-game suspension. So he's still got 1 game suspension left. But 1 year, $10 million, he goes to Miami, which, like, I know this was an initial head scratcher to me because I'm like, why are you signing a guy, Will Fuller, like, to only 1 year? Why aren't you getting him for like 2 or 3 years after that?
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that you would think with his injury history should look at himself in the mirror and go, let me get the most guaranteed dollars for extended years as I possibly can. Not taking a 1 year, $10 million, even though it's all guaranteed at 10. I would have rather see them take a 3 for $30 million with 15 guaranteed, because there's every single time he steps on a football field, it could be his last time out there. He's that fragile. I hope that he's not. If he stays healthy, which is a big if, he's one of the best receivers in the league. So we'll see. And maybe he's saying that. Let me put together another full 16-game campaign. He had a good shot at it last year till the suspension. So if he can pull it off and put it together, him, Tua, Devontae Parker, Mike Gesicki, a few of the additions they made in the running game, hopefully draft some O-line. They got a good team in Miami. I understand why you want to go there. And I talk about this all the time. And I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but you go to Florida, you don't have a state income tax. So that $10 million is $10 million. It's not a bad spot to land. I mean, that's one of the things that I think gets lost a lot is you come sign with a team like New England, you're paying a massive state income tax. Like, it's a huge advantage to play in the same league under different rules.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why people don't want to sign in Texas too, because that state tax is like 10%.
Yeah.
But I mean, if Ryan Fitzpatrick was still there,
that would have been
a top 10 guy.
Would have been magic for him. He loves those burners going deep, which is the next guy too.
We got
Craig. This is your guy.
I'll lead right into it. Like, so you talk about Fitzmagic, and if you were to stay there, Will Fuller would have been his candy to throw to. But Curtis Samuel going back, to Ron Rivera, having Ryan Fitzmagic as the quarterback right now. They do say that he did say he was not promised a starting job, but I would expect him to have it, especially since, Heineke's the only quarterback there now. If they draft one that, it's going to take some time. He's going to sling it. Terry McLaurin can do a lot of things. Curtis Samuel can do a lot of things, a lot of running, a lot of, going deep. I mean, Fitzmagic is going to have some fun. This offense is going to look fun. And I think it's going to produce a lot of fantasy points. I think Curtis Samuel lands in a great spot for fantasy purposes.
This is one of my biggest, teams I'm looking forward to watching. I mean, I liked watching them last year, so here's hoping they get better.
Yeah, this offense could be really an underdog, dark horse type of offense, I think.
Well, and you're pairing Fitzmagic up with something he's really never had, and that's a top tier elite defense where he might not have to go out and score 30 points a game to win and sling it. He can sling it, and maybe they'll score that many points, but he doesn't have to go ball out every time.
Right.
This is a great situation.
Yeah, good defense with a slinger who he's just not going to care. He's just going to sling the whole ball.
And their running back is very versatile too. Almost every single one of those players on that team can do multiple things.
Between Gibson and McKissick.
Gibson, love it.
Logan Thomas,
Lamar Miller,
might be a dark horse at tight end. Oh, Lamar Miller, thank you. Did we and we keep bringing up Fitzmagic's name, but I don't know if it was actually brought up on Monday, but he did end up signing a 1-year deal with the Washington football team. Our assumption is that he's the starter over
$12 million.
Brett Rippin,
Heineke,
Heineke
and Kyle
Allen and whoever else they may or may not draft to bring in.
They traded Dwayne Haskins, for those of you who have been out of the loop.
They dropped him.
They dropped him. He's gone. He's out of Washington. He's out of here.
Yeah, he's on Pittsburgh now.
Smart Juju. All right, next guy is AJ Green, which I don't have much to say other than $8.5 million for 1 year for AJ Green is wow. Good,
especially on this team with the Cardinals, where you had a wide receiver core in place. So I have to imagine this is the end of days for Larry Fitzgerald. Otherwise, why do you make the signing?
Because they just love old receivers.
I mean, maybe
they always going to have one.
That's what he's into, but
it's a no harm, no foul deal for
Absolutely.
AJ Green. I mean, 1 year. I mean, we saw him with Joe Burrow last year in a few games before Joe Burrow got hurt. He was like, oh shit, this guy is a startable guy in fantasy. Joe Burrow got hurt. It was just shit. I mean, this guy is he can catch any ball anywhere. I know he's not what he was before, but I mean, it's an up for Kyler more than anything. AJ Green probably stays at the same rank he was last year, to be honest. But as for Kyler's to have AJ Green, Hopkins, and Kirk, that's unreal. It's a step up from having Fitz.
I think he's going to play on the outside nearly 90% of the snaps. I don't think that he's going to compete with T. Higgins or Tyler Boyd, who also kind of played similar roles. Kirk's going to go underneath. The Hopkins is going to do anything they want him to do, and then AJ Green's going to stay on the outside. I think it's actually going to be beneficial for AJ Green in fantasy if he can stay healthy, because Kyler Murray will be able to extend plays, and he'll be able to find AJ Green just sitting there.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it hurts their offense. I'm just more concerned with the Cardinals from a football perspective. They need help on defense desperately, more than anything else. And then they decided to spend $8.5 million on a receiver. I know it's 1 year.
What are you talking about?
Hey,
I know for sure.
It might be good for fantasy purposes. I mean, Patrick Peterson's out of town now too. So I mean, that offense might have to sit there and pass the ball 600 times, like Kingsbury's been saying.
Peterson's
the last 3 years
shelled himself now.
Yeah.
John Brown went to the Raiders. We're getting into some smaller names. I know Hunter Henry's sprinkled in here. But John Brown goes to the Raiders for 1 year, $3.7 million.
He is now probably the best player.
He has the opportunity to show fantasy relevance with the fact that there is only Ruggs, who didn't play much last year, is kind of one-dimensional, it looks like. So we'll see. He's not going to get drafted high, but that's where we are with John Brown.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect him to outperform Aguilar's stat line, which is pretty underwhelming.
The next three we can probably.
I'm just gonna. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Jamal Williams goes to the Lions for 2 years, $7.5 million. Sanders goes to the Bills, 1 year, $6 million. That might be an interesting signing for us to take a look at later. Marvin Jones goes to the Jags for 2 years for $14.5 million, which is a sizable chunk of change for an older receiver. But the bigger signing down on the list that we hadn't gotten to yet was Hunter Henry going to the Pats for 3 years, $37.5 million. Like
after signing Jonnu Smith.
I know. So the last time we spoke, like publicly, we were like, okay, Jonnu Smith, that's the Patriot tight end. Guessing we're not on Hunter Henry. Wake up the next morning. Hey,
that last pod we did, Dallas was like, yeah, like I think Hunter Henry's a better guy for the Pats than Jonnu, but hey, watch tomorrow. They'll probably sign Hunter Henry, and boom.
Yeah, like completely jokingly, like, oh, watch.
We were joking about that, and then we were absolutely saying, like, oh, just watch him take.
We are so smart.
That's true.
But I mean, Hunter Henry's going to block more, I think, than Jonnu Smith will. Everyone's made the comparison. We'll say it too. Gronk and Hernandez. I mean, that's what it looks like they want to go back to, is that style of offense. While they're two different types of players, Jonnu will be able to move more than.
Did you see
Henry.
Some of the extended comparisons though? Gronk runs the same 40 time as Hunter Henry, and Aaron Hernandez ran the same 40 time as Jonnu Smith.
They're going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch because, I mean, they do bring in Aguilar and what's his face there, Bourne, but the offense is going to run through these two tight ends. It is. I mean, they're going to run it and then they're going to pass it to these tight ends, creating mismatches. I mean, while their fantasy relevance may be low for the fact that they're now on the field at the same time, and it's kind of hard to guess what the Patriots want to do anyway, but they'll be relevant.
Yeah, and they signed like 115 offensive linemen, so it's probably going to be an 85-90% run year. But
yeah, I really want the Patriots to get like a legit running back.
Yeah, that's what they're still missing.
We'll see what happens. We already get to Ryan Fitzmagic. Marlon Mack stays with the Colts. Not really news we need to talk about, but something people should know about. However, Chris Carson, who was sure shit out of Seattle. I mean, Seattle said they didn't want Chris.
Yeah,
I believe there was a news report that Seattle specifically told Chris Carson, "We're not bringing you back."
No. Yep. There was. And then Carl's had. No, you guys are done.
And then they
3-year deal.
It's a 1 year deal. So that's where this whole voided bullshit comes into play. He's paid. It's voided after 2 years.
Right.
Okay. So it's a 2 year deal for $24.6 million where the cap hit is spread over 3 years. So it's really, he's in Seattle for another 2 years.
2 years.
I just don't understand how Seattle goes. That's a massive 180. We don't want you. Here's a 2 year deal.
I think this is exactly what happened. This was a terrible running back market, and he probably went out, found out he was not going to get that 10, 9, even 8 mil, and he came back and re-signed from that 6.5, 7 mil. So I think that was also the lesser of two evils, bringing in Fournette, which is another, player that they were talking about bringing in, who probably wanted, again, same 8, 9, 10 mil. That was not out there for running backs this year. And so it was just kind of smart financially for them to bring back Chris Carson, someone who knows the offense and things like that.
Right. Yeah. Seattle goes, we don't want you. But the longer version of that was, we don't want you at the 10 million you're asking for.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he gets 12 million capital in the next 2 years.
For Dynasty, if you're a Chris Carson owner, great news.
Beautiful. I mean, they're still going to run it a ton of times. I mean, they're running it back too. I mean, I know they're, had some issues, offensively and defensively, actually, a lot more. But Seattle's going to produce the exact same numbers that they did last year, and that's good news for fantasy.
Yeah, and really, you hope that they don't do anything defensively, and then Russell Wilson still has to score 30 points a game, and you're in heaven.
Yeah, and I mean, as many have said, stocks never drop. Rashard Penny's stock will never go up after. I mean, he's dead in the water.
I'm so happy that he's back to being irrelevant. We can never talk about him
now. We don't get to talk about him, right?
It's funny. I think Alex Collins might be the backup, not Penny.
Oh, he should be.
They re-signed him. They liked what they saw from him.
And DJ Dallas.
So did I.
They drafted Alex Collins and dropped him, and then signed him again, and then dropped him again, and then signed him again. Like, that's Pete Carroll. Him and his running backs.
It's the same thing with like Mike Davis too.
Yeah. And remember Christine Michael? Like what about
I do?
Yeah.
Wow.
Thomas Rawls.
Houston. Oh, Thomas Rawls. I don't even want to get started on him. He was.
And all those guys,
J.D.
McKissick couldn't get a touch over, and then he goes somewhere else and kills it. Just a great receiving running back.
Catches 80 balls. Houston continues to just screw things up. So I saw a report that they're like, oh, Nick Caserio is doing a great job. And I was like, really? Okay. So Nick Caserio signed Mark Ingram after he's already paying David Johnson. Well, David Johnson, I think, restructured his contract. So not that bad. But Mark Ingram 1 year, $1.5 million with about $500K in bonuses, incentives, or whatever goes there. Then Denver Broncos cut Phillip Lindsay, and Nick Caserio goes, what's one more running back? I might as well be San Francisco, and signs Phillip Lindsay to a 1 year, $3.25 million deal. So, like, I don't know what's going on. And meanwhile, Watson still doesn't want to be there. I don't even know if they've signed another wide receiver. Like, Houston right now, in my opinion, is just dog shit.
Yeah, they have Cooks, who they also restructured, and then Randall Cobb looks like they're number 2.
Kiki Cudi is still there too.
Yeah. And they just traded for Matt Lacoste from the Patriots, and they cut the other tight end. Who was the 2 tight ends they had last year? They dropped Terran Felds.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So their offense,
Terran Felds, to be honest,
they're doing nothing to get Watson to stay.
No. So their running back core now is David Johnson, Mark Ingram, Phillip Lindsay, Dontrell Hilliard, and Buddy Howell. Why do you need that?
I love how Howell's still on the team after all these years.
What a gross team.
All right, and there's still a lot of big name players out there. Number one, near and dear to all of us, Kenny Golladay is still unsigned. He's visited multiple teams. We've heard so many different rumors. We heard Chicago. I know Ravens were in the fold at one point. Well, yeah. So it sounds like the Giants are probably
they're the shoo-in. So he's still staying there tonight. So that's
he's sleeping
make there. 3 days that he's been there.
And it sounds like there's a mutual we're not sure, because he did say that Matt Patricia left such a sour taste in his mouth. He wasn't even sure about going to be coached under Joe Judge. And so he wanted to meet them, and then they wanted to see, like, is he really that soft that he wouldn't want to play for a coach that never really coached with Patricia. So there's that whole thing, because he's seeking $18.5 million, and they want to know if they give him that contract that he's going to be worth it.
No.
That hip says otherwise.
Well, that's what I was just gonna say. I mean, like, at some point, you as Kenny Golladay have to realize, like, bro, that hip is a huge concern. 18 mil, that's a hell of an ask.
Yeah. Well, if there was one wide receiver in this class, it would be him that would get top. You know, it's Kenny Golladay. But let's play the game that say he signs there. I think it's fantastic. I think it helps Daniel Jones. I think it helps Saquon Barkley. I think it helps Darius Slayton. It helps
Kenny Golladay.
Evan Ingram. It helps Kenny Golladay. It helps everyone getting a actual number 1 wide receiver there. It helps a lot of teams when they finally get a guy like that.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that would be a great move. I mean, you're looking at a guy who, I mean, I know Daniel Jones probably isn't our favorite, but I mean, he should be a shoo-in for 1,200 yards. I mean, if he's healthy for 16 games, 1,200 yards should be easy to reach when you're number 1 on a team like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, they still have Sterling Shepard there too.
Yeah, but you're never going to have Shepard, Ingram, and Slayton all healthy at the same time. I mean, it's going to be like what we expected of Houston last year. Kenny Golladay would just be like the model of health with him and his replaced hip. Yeah, Todd Gurley with arthritis at like 24, and Kenny Golladay is going to need a hip replacement at 25. Like, what the hell's going on? So I think that's the biggest name that's left. And then we still have some smaller names and some names I think a lot of dynasty owners are worried about. Like, Craig, I know you've got Fournette.
Unfortunately, he's probably at this point not signing with Seattle. He's going back to Tampa. They're running it back. Well, there's nowhere else other than the Patriots. What's that?
But the Bucks have no cap space.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. I mean, he'll get under the cap for like $200K.
They'll void like 7 years.
All I've heard is Fournette is back with the Bucks.
Yeah, and it's probably going to happen, unfortunately, for my dad.
The only good thing about that is that probably means
Buffalo. To be honest, that's great.
But if he goes back to the Bucks, that means that James White has no home, and he's probably coming back to the Pats. So I'll take that.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I don't know if the Patriots are trying to even head in that direction. James White didn't really do much last year, and I think they are trying to head towards that pound the rock. I mean, Fournette would be good with the Patriots. There's other teams too. Atlanta, Arizona now lost Drake. The Jets don't have a running back. Like there are teams out there, but for whatever reason, they seem to want to go in the draft. I think Fournette's trying to command a lot of money.
Miami too.
Obviously, yeah, Miami too. It's just weird market for running backs this year.
Running backs. Well, the league's smartening up. I mean,
yeah,
and I think that's what it is. I mean, somebody at one point said to me, "How do you think Jonathan Taylor's a good pick?" When he was drafted in the NFL in the second round, I was like, I think NFL teams are devaluing the running back position as they should.
As they've noticed, like these guys that pay 10 million, 12 million bucks a pop for running backs don't make the playoffs. They don't. They spend too much money there and they don't have the weapons to win anywhere else. It's crazy. And then I mean, I've got this guy. Craig's got Fournette. I've got James Conner in our Dynasty Salary Psycho League. I got $40 tied up on the guy. He might not be on a team next year.
I've heard no news
Nothing
at all.
Nothing.
It's so quiet on James Conner.
Which I'm only hoping that means he somehow ends up back with the Steelers. And that's just
yeah.
That's honestly
that's not even
best move.
It's not even a good spot because he didn't do shit last year. I mean,
for him, I think it's a good spot.
Half a season he was fine, then he got a little hurt, but
yeah.
I mean, the top half of the year, he looked like a top 10
Oh my God. I was like, I was so happy. I should have sold him. I'm going to sell him this year if he does the same thing.
I mean, I think Seattle was the best fit for both Fournette and James Conner as far as who fits what style a little bit better. And I think now that role is filled, those guys should end up deferring back to where they were. But what's shocking is you've got, we talk about the cheap running backs and stuff. You got a guy like Mike Davis who just produced at a very, very high level. Like Miami should be taking Mike Davis in not today. Yeah. And they haven't. So Mike Davis and
instead they took Malcolm Brown. It's like,
yeah, exactly. All right. Todd Gurley, also, we've heard nothing about. He's still
also on my roster.
Sorry.
Yeah. I think Todd Gurley's a couple of years out of the he's not even going to be in the league anymore. And again, nothing on him. Lev Bell, he's still out there. Nothing on him. Although I was researching news on Lev Bell. Something exciting is happening April 4th. And a lot of sports writers are saying that they're like, we're going to see where he goes in April. I'm pretty sure he's just dropping a new album. So if you're a big Lev Bell music fan, I think he's got a new album coming in April. Probably won't be on an NFL team though. James White still out there. He could probably be used somewhere. I don't know.
We said Sir Pats.
It makes sense because you need to have a receiving back unless it's going to be JJ Taylor, and he did a fine job in that role, so it very well could be. But Harris and Sony aren't the preeminent pass-catching running backs, but who knows?
I mean, you got to think like a team like KC would take a look at James White and be like,
Green Bay.
He's a veteran. Green Bay is a good example.
They lost Jamal Williams, so
yeah. Tevin Coleman's still out there. Scotty, you're a Coleman owner in Dynasty. I don't know if you've heard anything on Coleman.
Oh, sadly, no.
Yeah,
I heard nothing.
Coleman
is going to be lucky to get onto a team, to be honest.
I'll trade you James Conner for Tevin Coleman.
That actually leaves San Francisco with only 2 running backs, so they got to sign at least 2 of these guys.
I know, right? They still have Jermichael Hasty.
Okay,
your dart throw from last year. And we still feel like Buffalo's going to make a move. I mean, Chicago has to do something. It's just Monty there. So, I mean, there's teams out there that should be in the market for a running back. I don't think these running backs we just named are going to be finding. I don't think NFL teams are like chomping at the bit to get them on their rosters.
All these guys,
you still have the draft coming up.
All those guys we've named are best bet backups.
Yes,
to a team. Like we would pray.
How dare you? Lev Bell's a starter.
And at that point, wouldn't you rather, as the NFL team, take the young rookie in the draft and just say he's young, he's fresh, he's healthy?
And it's not even just there's a handful. Like maybe there's the top of the charts, Harris and Etienne, but after that, there's plenty of running backs that'll come out of the woodwork. James Robinson was an undrafted running back.
Yep. And then so you'll make it all the way through the draft, and then maybe some of these guys latch on for $900K, and that's really it. Whatever the vet min is.
I don't have any lower first round picks or second rounds picks. Kenneth Gainwell.
Yeah.
Name to keep an eye on. Also, I know Craig likes Trey Sermons, so
I do like Trey
he
Sermons.
might end up finding
a
home.
I'm telling you right now, the Patriots have wanted that pounder. They went for Fournette and Carson. Trey Sermon might be the guy coming from, Ohio State's big names.
Well, Craig, don't you worry. I got a bunch of third rounders for you. We'll work something out.
I mean, he might be a back end first or second. In our dynasty league.
Yeah.
All right, so some of the wide receiver free agents left over. I mean, Kenny Golladay was the guy, but Antonio Brown, we still fully expect him to sign in Tampa. I haven't heard any news otherwise. Unless have you guys? Yeah,
I don't think that they need to. I think they can wait. Bucks. They can wait till the day before the season starts. He'll still be sitting there waiting for a contract.
Yeah. Hilton is still unsigned, which makes me believe he's not going back to the Colts. Just
really. Yeah, you would have thought they'd get a deal done quickly if he was going to end up there.
I still think he should. I still think he signs with the Colts.
He should.
To be honest,
it's hard to sign when you don't have a contract in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
But you would guess that he sits down with Carson Wentz, and Carson Wentz go I watched you play last year. You still got something.
I mean, looking at teams now, Ty on the Colts is his best stat wise option. Like his best option. Unless you want to go to the Chiefs, then that's your best option.
And I just don't see Pittman jumping him this year, and I don't see who's the other guy there?
Paris
Campbell.
So he lost his entire knee, MCL, PCL, ACL. Like there's no. I don't think Campbell's going to start the year. They're still only going to have Pittman and Pascal. So I think there's going to be a time where they're not going and spending Gallaudet money, and all the other wide receivers are gone. They've all come back down to earth and taken less money in contracts. So T.Y. Hilton's going to sign there for a $5 million.
Well, I was going to say the crazy thing, you saw AJ Green get 8.5. So now T.Y. is like, well, shit, I want 8.5. I'm better than him.
I want 9.5.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to see the Colts come out of the woodwork and be like, yeah, you know what, Kenny Golladay, you're a guy. Come on.
I mean,
the problem is then you have Pittman who do the same thing. I mean,
it doesn't.
He's better.
Golladay,
don't get me wrong,
but superior talent.
But that won't happen.
Anyway, it's fun to dream. Golden Tate is still a free agent who
I've heard nothing on him.
He's probably going to be somebody who doesn't sign until after the draft. Team really needs a guy like Tim Patrick. He's still out there. Although I thought he signed a second round tender with Denver, or that was the rumor.
I think they were going to explore that option. Let me get back to you.
I mean,
all right. Well, we can talk about week one Sammy. Well,
I can't place a second round tender on him.
So week one Sammy is a free agent. So if I'm the Dolphins, I lose Will Fuller for 1 week. You sign Watkins for 1 week. You got the week one Sammy, and then you get
the old week one contract. Smart.
Perfect scenario.
I love it. He's my favorite 14th round pick in fantasy drafts, and just check him out week one. And it's I beat a guy. You scored 40 points in week one in 3 consecutive years. It's disgusting.
Yes.
It does nothing.
20.
Yes, Tim Patrick was tendered.
Yeah, second round tender.
Yeah, so he's still in Denver, which kind of sucks because I was actually really hoping he went to another team.
Same. I love Patrick.
He's an interesting player.
He's a very underrated receiver in the NFL.
On the right money, I would have loved to see him come to the Patriots and play outside. 6'4", big body, go get
over Bourne. I would love that.
Yeah, I would have loved Tim Patrick and Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah.
But Aguilar costs $80,000 a minute.
I was gonna say way more than
a minute. All right. Well, I think that's our list. Do you guys have any other news?
No. Damian Harris was cut. I mean, not Damian Harris. Damian Williams was cut from Kansas City.
Damian Williams was cut. So he's
Patriots signed every offensive lineman.
They did re-sign Darrell Williams, which makes sense.
Yep.
And I could see Lev Bell just going right back there.
Right back. I mean, it could happen.
I could see Lev Bell in Arizona. I would rather ETN be there, though, so I hope that doesn't happen.
I think Arizona likes Trey Sermons enough to just draft another running back.
Yeah.
So do I, and I think it's going to be Etienne or Harris because they'll have a pick late in the first. Oh, not late, but midway through the first.
Let us see.
20-something.
All right. Well, we have we'll end up doing a couple more of these podcasts where we go over some of the free agent stuff, and then we have rookie stuff that we have to go into.
Yeah,
that'll be fun.
Rookie stuff.
Rookie offensive lineman stuff.
Craig was
so much offensive line
mentioned on our previous podcast with the burners that Craig, Scotty, and Dowles, you guys all did a mock draft, like a legit mock draft, and we ended up beating like most of the experts as far as positionally what teams are going to take what position
last year. Yeah.
Yeah, so positionally we smashed
in exact picks and in positional picks, we beat both Mel Kiper and Todd McShay by 14 and 17% on both instances.
So we're fucking awesome. So that's coming out.
Probably the preeminent draft talent scouters.
We got exactly 66% of the draft correct last year.
We nailed
for 69.
We nailed it.
Yes. We'll go for this year. 69. I mean, naturally. I don't even want 70.
Yeah, no, fuck 70. 70 is not even cool. 69.
Like we could have got 100, but we were aiming for 69. We just missed.
Just missed
one pick.
Listen, teach. I was trying to get that D. Okay, you don't understand. So that's coming out. That will be coming out after all the free agent stuff. Then we have our dynasty rankings of rookies. We have our discussions of rookies, and then rankings are coming out. So lots of stuff coming out. I was texting Jeff. I think we got another burner. So he agreed to join the burner. So Baldy, it sounds like he's got a buddy in Jeff to do some burner stuff. So do some more March Madness and all that sports betting stuff. I don't know what else we've got going on. I mean, I don't know if you guys want to throw that out there.
No, I mean,
we'll probably start to do more dynasty discussion as we get closer to. I mean, before we know it, we're going to be having our dynasty weekend where we do our draft and free agent stuff. So probably start ramping up some dynasty content too. But
that's shoot for pod 169 while we're there. We did 69 there last year.
It's gonna happen.
If it's 169 there, I think a Centurion's in order the first night.
A whole league Centurion.
I'm down.
Right before the draft when I have no picks.
Oh
yeah,
my
so
God.
you don't care.
I have a ton of picks. I'll botch them all. Then at least I can blame the Centurion.
I told my kids who I'm picking first overall. Or I told them I'm going to tell them who I'm picking first overall so that if I am too inebriated, all I need to know is to call them. And then
that's good. That's who you want to call when you're wasted.
Yeah. I did it
last year. Emily announced the first pick last year.
Who just says I'm going to pick this week?
Emily and Billy yelled Jonathan Taylor when I called them last year.
Najee Harris. No, sure it's not ETN.
My God, could you imagine if they said like some like messed up name? They're like Marshawn Lynch, and I was like, oh fuck,
oh, damn it, oh gosh.
Well, looks like Uncle Corey's going to be having to pick them up from school real quick to get some inside information who you're picking.
If somebody turns my kids on me, they will no longer be living. I mean, that's how invested in this dynasty league I am. You don't turn on blood. Listen, this dynasty league's in my will. Okay, it's going to them. If they want to screw it, that's their own prerogative.
I'm gonna be like, Emily, listen, I've been hearing the word on the street is you wanted a pony. I got a pony guy. I just need to know who he's taking at number one.
Yeah, just listen, give me your dad's 101. I'll make you a balloon pony. It'll be fine.
Oh my God. Yeah, Emily, go pick up the sleeper app and pick his trade.
Oh my God.